Hey, y'all ain't gonna believe this shit. I just recorded like 29 minutes of a video and fucking lost everything. Ain't that a bitch? I didn't lose everything. My tablet ran out of MBs or whatever it's called, memory, and it cut off. So I can't upload that motherfucker. I gotta record this whole thing again. So anyway, it's right now 7 o'clock in the morning. I got up at 6 and came out here and started recording. Thinking I could beat the sun, and already this motherfucker's hot, baby. So anyway, today we're going to continue talking about alchemists, the alchemist lifestyle. So I take issue with churches and these modern day philosophers who claim that you can will yourself to success. You know, the church motherfuckers love to say, oh, just claim it in the name of Jesus and you'll have it. Bullshit. And I'll tell you the reason why that's bullshit. When you want something, what does your pastor tell you? Pray to Jesus and be a good Christian and you'll get it. But when he wants something, what does he do? He turns to you motherfuckers and say, finance it. We need a new roof. Give me your money, niggas. He don't pray to Jesus. He don't claim it. He makes y'all give it to him. Okay, so we do away with that dumbass philosophy? This shit don't work. That's why the church is full of unmarried motherfuckers still claiming Jesus and claiming a good man in the name of Jesus, and they fucking perpetually single. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I know this hurts. Offends some of you. But I'm just being real. You know, what do they call these people? The people who follow law of attraction. A matter of fact, I follow those laws as well. But I understand, you have to be real, and I understand that you cannot just think positive and get what you want. You're not going to find a mate just because you want one. You see, life doesn't work that way. Life does not give you what you want just because you want it. Life doesn't give you what you need just because you need it. God himself, he don't work that way. You have to go about life deliberately. You have to go back through life. You have to go about life with wisdom. You have to have discipline and commitment. You know what I mean? To getting what you want. So, as I was saying, life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you what you deserve. And when I say deserve, I don't mean that you're a good person and life just hands it to you. That God doesn't work that way. You get what you deserve something because you earn it. You know how to go out there and you know how to get it. And that's how you achieve things in life, including relationships and good fortune. You know what I mean? It's more than just working and saving your money. It's well, let me say this. In order to get that end goal, in order to get the result that you want, you have to have the right plan. If I were to ask you right now, where do you see yourself 12 months from now? This is the time of year that everybody is making their New Year's resolution list. And December 30th or 31st, if you're making a list of goals, you can even write them down. But if you don't write a plan to achieving each of those goals, 9 times out of 10, by December 29th of the following year, you'll be adding those same items back to your New Year's resolution list, right? The reason for that is that life does get in the way. That's the number one excuse. If you ask anybody, why didn't you achieve it? They'll always say, oh, life got in the way. And it's true, life does get in the way. So if you understand that life gets in the way, you must do things to ensure that that you stay focused, even though life will get in the way. Okay, so I want to finish my MBA, I have to write things down. Even if I go and enroll in school in an MBA program, I have to write down my goals in order to stay focused on them. I have to remind myself, this is my goal. You know, um, if I want to open a business, I have to have a business plan, right? And and a business plan has to be very, very specific. It has to be you have to plan it all the way down to the smallest details. Now, of course, you do need to be flexible, but you must also be specific, know exactly what you want, know when you're going to start working on certain goals, and you have to know when you want to achieve certain goals. So as long as you are, I'm sorry, let me fix this for a minute. As long as you are that focused and that detailed, uh, your chances of success shoot up to 90%. Okay, yes, like you said, like everybody says, life does get in the way. But it's easy to forget your goals and get sidetracked, and before you know it, you're not thinking of them, right? I've known people who've been saying for years, well, I want to buy a house this year, and you find them the following year, and they're adding that item to the list again. That I want to buy a house next year. What happened? Well, life got in the way and something happened and blah, blah, blah. And so what happens is when you write those goals down and you give yourself milestones, by January, I expect to have 1,500 in the bank or 1,000 in the bank. By February, I need to have another 1,000 in the bank. If you set goals like that every month, you have a short-term goal. Those are easier to achieve and to swallow when you take them in small bites. By March 1st, I want to have been enrolled in this course to learn how to run this business. You know what I mean? And so by March 1st, you enroll in it. If your plan is vague, then it's very easy to not do it, because when it's vague, it's not concrete, and uh, you haven't fully committed. If a guy says, "I want to take you out one day," next time you see him, "I want to take you out one day." If that dude don't give you a date, well, Friday night, let's go to watch this show, or let's go to dinner. If he doesn't give you a specific date, he ain't serious. You know what I'm saying? Or he's just that passive that you guys will never end up going on that date. You understand? So your goals have to be concrete, and um, they have to be have a sense of urgency to them. They have to be time specific. They have to have the small details ironed out and clearly defined in your plan. Um, Even when it comes to relationships, you understand there are. Uh, Oh, and you probably don't have to write down your relationship goals, but you should have yourself reminders. And you have to have some sort of plan. Um, Even when it comes down to like meeting someone, there's somebody that you want to meet. You have to be calculating in that. You don't just walk up to her and start talking, because sometimes you may not say the right thing. So what do you do? Most of you already do this. You plan a conversation in your head. Well, I'm gonna say this, and then she's gonna say this, and then I'm gonna say this, and you know what I'm saying? I mean it sounds corny, but it works. It does work. I've been doing that shit since I was like a young buck, since I was like 13 years old. Before I talk to a female, I always have a plan on what I'm gonna say. Maybe it doesn't go that way, but the conversations do kind of go in the direction that I want. And now I've got it like down to a science. I know what to say to a woman to get her attention. Matter of fact, let me say this real quick. Everything you ever wanted to learn is out there, especially if you live in the West. You live in the United States. A previous video, I said if you live in the United States, you should be able to achieve any financial goal that you want, because the economy there is so good. And I mean that. If even if you make 50,000 a year, and your goal is to save 20 grand in order to buy a house, to put down on a house, by the end of the year, you can get 20 out of 50. If it's mathematically possible, and it's extremely possible. But the problem is, most people are not willing to do what they got to do to get it. So if you can't pull 20,000 out of 50,000, you're an idiot. Straight up, you're an idiot. What happens is people are not willing to make the sacrifices they need to make in order to pull that 20 grand out of the 50. And that's the reason why they say, oh, well, I can't afford, I can barely make it on my 50. Then you go get a second job. But if you can't make 50,000 work in any city in America, except maybe San Francisco, you're an idiot. And oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm not apologizing. We doing away with that apologizing shit. No matter where you live, there's somebody living off of less in your town. It is possible. It's just that you're not willing to give up when you need to give up to get what you want. And, I had somebody tell me recently, why should I give up anything to get what I want? You don't have to. But you know what? If you're not willing to give things up to get what you want, then don't bitch and moan about why you don't have it. You understand? You have to decide, what do you want more? Do you want that house, or do you want fucking every cable channel known to man? Right? Do you want that house, or do you want, the venti drinks at Starbucks every morning? Do you want the Coach bag? Or you want the fucking house? What are you willing to give up to get what you want? And this is what I'm talking about with the alchemist lifestyle. The alchemist knows how to achieve the goals that he wants, and he's willing to do what he needs to do to achieve those goals. So if I want to learn something, the knowledge is out there, even right here on YouTube. If you go up to that search bar above above this video, anything you want to learn, type it in there. Even if it's an MBA, type it in there. Even on YouTube, there are channels to teach you everything you need to know in order to have an MBA. Now, they can't give you an MBA, but the information is there. If you're running a business and you want MBA quality management skills, you don't have to go get the MBA. You can just go get the skills. Matter of fact, let me tell you this. I'll show you this. This book right here I'm reading. What they still don't teach you at Harvard Business School. So I have in my collection a lot of books. I left the business department when I was in school to pursue English because I love literature. At that time, I didn't think I needed any of those. I didn't need that education in order to run my business. But what I ended up doing was pursuing a business education anyway. I did it in the form of seminars. I took a lot of seminars, a lot of workshops. And then I read a lot of books. And I have in my collection at least, well, I've read 5 books that are promising. Now, I don't know because I don't have an. I never, went into a business program. But I've read 5 books that claim to teach what an MBA knows. So even if you don't have the means, you don't have the time to pursue formal education in whatever subject you want, there are books out there. There are videos here on YouTube to teach you them. And you can learn, there's apps like Audible. What is it? On iTunes, there are a lot of lectures on iTunes teaching what you want to learn, what you'd like to learn, including things about relationships. So let me say this real quick because I just did a video on relationships the other day. There's an art to relationships management. There's an art to they call it the pickup game or something like that. I think it's the white boys call it. We call it macking. Learning how to win the affection, win the attention of a woman, or a man if you're a woman. If your goal is to get a mate, and this does sound corny, I know it does, but there are things that you can learn to learn how to win that mate. Sometimes a person has a slight interest in you, and they just need a little tug. Um, they need something calculating for you to enter their spirit. And I know this is going to sound kind of deep, but um, in relationships, I'm not a dude uh, who is satisfied just fucking my woman and hanging out with her and that's it. I like to get deep with the women that I'm dealing with, and I think I turn all the women I'm romantically involved with into very good friends. So even if the relationship doesn't work out, rarely do women break up with me and hate me after that. You know what I mean? Majority of them, and we end up, if it doesn't work out, we end up becoming good friends anyway. Um, I acknowledge that uh, not everybody that you get involved with is going to be a good mate, and that's what the courting process is all about, is finding out if this person's a good mate. So you shouldn't treat failed relationships as this is my new enemy. You understand? I know that feelings are hurt and you feel disappointed. Now, if they betray you, that's different. But if it doesn't work out, or maybe you discover that you're not compatible or your goals don't align with each other, um, uh, it doesn't have to be the person doesn't have to become an adversary. They can become good friends. You guys were intimate at one time. You've told this person some of your secrets. You know what I mean? Why waste that friendship? You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, but in relationships management, there are books that you can learn how to maintain a good relationship. Sometimes we didn't learn that stuff from our parents, or our parents weren't good at it. You know what I'm saying? I know my parents weren't necessarily good at it. Uh, my dad was kind of like a Plato type of philosopher. My dad is very good at asking the right questions and getting me to think and things like that. But a lot of the knowledge that I needed to know, I had to go elsewhere for it. My dad taught me what he knew, but I thirsted for more information. And I'm not saying that like my dad couldn't teach. My dad is an excellent teacher. He's a great person for me to pattern myself off of. But there were things that I wanted to know beyond what he was teaching me. And there are books, like I said, there's books you can read to learn it. Um, there are new developments in every field, so whether I want to go into restaurant business or I just want to learn how to cook better, I want to improve my business. I've already achieved my goal of opening a business. So now I want to become better at it. There are books I can read to get that. And so in creating the future that you want for yourself, you have to have a plan to getting it. And then you also have to have knowledge, and you have to know where to go get that knowledge. And you can't just fly by the seat of your pants. You have to be calculating. You have to live deliberately. You have to have I talked about this in an earlier video, that a deterministic lifestyle. I have to decide this is what I want for myself, and I have to live that way. I have to pursue that. I have to do this every day of my life. Every hour of the day, you have to be thinking about it. And that's the difference between someone who's just cast to the wind. Wherever the wind blows me, that's where I end up. Those are very, very weak people. And those of us who are more human. And let me explain what I mean by that. Animals. Nietzsche said most men are like a dog tied to a cart. Wherever that cart goes, the dog goes. And life will take you, it will lead you like that dog tied to a cart. If you, excuse me, if you don't take charge of your life, if you don't take control of your life. And that's what alchemy is all about, is not being the dog tied to the cart. You become the driver that is pulling that cart where you want. You have to be that way with your own life. You have to know how to sit in the driver's seat and go where you want to go, and be who you want to be, or be what you want to be. You understand? You want to be the type of person that can live exactly the life that you determine that you want to live. So if I want to be healthy, if I want to, you guys, know from my early videos, I was just 6 months ago, I was 260 pounds. Well, maybe I was a little lighter than that. Uh, But yeah, I've lost about 50 to 60 pounds. I don't know what I weigh now. I was wearing a 42, 44 when I arrived in the Philippines, and I'm now in the 38. So, um, uh, even if it's just losing weight or living healthier, or if you want to be wealthy, those of you who live in America, you're in a perfect place to be wealthy. Matter of fact, this place, Philippines, is, even though this is a poor country, you can be wealthy here with the right attitude and the right frame of mind, the right tools to getting it. You can do this in any community, any economy, and especially if you live in America. There's no reason to not have what you want. You know what I'm saying? You just have to learn how to create that for yourself, and that's what alchemy is all about. But so let me close with this. I want you to think about what your goal is going to be, what your goals are going to be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and write them all down. In 1 year, I want this to happen. In 2 years, I want this to happen. In 5 years, I want that to happen. Then for each item on that list, you will write out a plan to get what you want. Like I said, going through life without a plan is like getting on the ocean in a boat without a compass and without a goal in mind, because you'll just go around in circles. And uh, that plan will keep you focused and keep you pointed in the direction that you want to go. And especially if you give it as much detail as you can. Give yourself, you know, uh, uh, time goals. Give yourself a timeline of, I want to have completed this by this date. You know what I'm saying? I want to start this at this date and complete it by this date. If you do that, and you stick to it, and you like, for me, I had two notebooks I carried everywhere I went, and I was constantly writing, scribbling in them. But in the back of one notebook, I had my financial plan. In the front, I had my actual plans. On the cover of each notebook was my long-term goals, and on the first few pages of each notebook were my short-term goals. And I had it broken down for each goal. If you live that way, and you just try it. If you do that, I guarantee in a year's time, if I do another video asking, hey guys, what happened with those goals, you'll be telling me, yeah, I achieved it. Okay, there's some people that, yeah, I got a friend right now, Jazzy. You're probably watching this video. Not my niece Jazzy, but my friend Jazzy. Um, her goal was to get her PhD, or well, first it was to get her bachelor's, and then it was her master's. I think she just got her master's a couple months ago. And now it's to get her PhD. Um, she always says, well, I'm not doing anything else. I'm one track minded, no time for relationships and stuff like that. And, uh, I encourage her, go for it. But I don't agree with her. And I say that because you should be one track minded to a point, but you don't have to be completely be obsessed with it, because you can burn yourself out. Now, some people can do it, um, but in one breath, she says, she wants to achieve these goals, but in the next breath, she talks about how lonely she is. And, um, you know, we are complex creatures. We have the ability to pursue two goals at one time. We don't have to reject everything in order to pursue this one goal. You have to have balance in life. And as long as you are focused and disciplined, those things won't be distractions. And I think the reason why she says, I'm not going to have any relationship and I'm not doing anything else but this is because she needs my last video. You know what I'm saying? She didn't necessarily have good taste in men. She sees relationship as a bad thing because she's had a bad relationship. And I think a lot of people have done that. And you don't you know if you choose better and you recognize when you're in a bad situation, when it's time to move on, time to get out, you won't have to look at relationship as a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Um, and in pursuing goals, as long as you are focused on that goal, you can enjoy other things. I have some specific goals here, but I still find the time to travel and uh, do other things that I like. I'm getting reacquainted with cousins I haven't seen since I was a little boy, and everybody lives in different places now, so I'm getting around and seeing new cities, seeing new towns, and stuff like that. But I still have my goal of writing my books and doing my research for my books. Matter of fact, this book that I'm reading right now is part of. If you go on Facebook, look for my page. It's the Big Black Book is the name of the page. Rules of Engagement. It's a book that I'm writing on the counter to white supremacy. And right now I haven't really started writing the book. I wrote out a rough draft of an outline, the chapters, but I'm doing the research right now. So the book is probably going to take about 2 years to write. But it doesn't mean that I have to sequester myself and not do anything else. I still do it every now and then. Yesterday is a good example. I stayed in my room uh, and just uh, I did some writing, but I did a lot of reading, and I wanted to get through 3 chapters, and I got through it in probably about 10 hours. Um, so we all those qualities I talked about in the first video in the series, that you have to have discipline, you have to have focus, you have to have sometimes blinders on, you have to have wisdom to achieve these goals, but you also have to have a plan, and that plan has to be a well thought out plan. It's got to be realistic. You don't want to put too much on yourself, because if it's too frustrating, you'll probably give up or probably burn out. Excuse me. You have to give yourself a sense of urgency. You have to have a date that each step will be achieved. And then you have to have knowledge. You have to go out and find the information that you need. Like I said, even in relationships, there are books on relationships management. There's books on flirting. There's books on seduction. Um, how to capture the attention of a mate. What to do when there's relationship problems. If you want to keep that relationship. Something I've learned over the years is that you don't have to get out of every relationship when there are problems, because every relationship is going to have them. You get out when they're toxic problems, and that's something I should have touched on in the last video. Recognizing when someone just has their way that makes them undateable, and when they are toxic. Sometimes people have things that can be fixed, and sometimes people have things in their character that are broken and cannot be fixed. You know what I mean? Or they're very, very difficult to fix. Um, anyway, that's pretty much all I have today. So tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about this alchemist thing. But for now, I want you to at least take this first step and give yourself a plan to achieving what you want, and then make a list of things you need to know in order to achieve what you want. Okay? And I will talk to you guys later.